All right. This is the new thing that's sweeping the land when you don't know which way to go. The answer is Jesus and Elevation Radio.
Amen.
I hear you.
I can hear you too.
All right. We're live. This is Elevation Radio 1, and I'm your host, Pastor Steve, the Music Man Turner. Had to do some work today. But we thank you for taking the journey with us. This is a program that spotlights positive people doing positive work while serving a positive God whose name is Jesus, and there is nobody else. There's no other God that matters but Jesus. Let me say it again. There is no other God that matters but Jesus. That's what I just said. And so the devil tried to block this program, but he's not going to win today. Yeah. And so let us go immediately. Our title today is Evicting the Evil Empire. Evicting the Evil Empire. And we need to go right to our verse to rehearse, which is with our queen, the first lady, the beautiful part of this program is Mayorial Turner. How you doing, Lady Mayorial Turner? Queen. What verse are you reading from today?
2 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 3 and 5.
Some pep step. Drop.
Ready?
I'm ready. We're ready.
For though we walk in the flesh, we are not waging war according to the flesh. For the weapons of our warfare are not of the flesh, but we have divine power to destroy strongholds. We destroy argument and every lofty opinion against the knowledge of God and take every thought captive to obey Christ.
Fantastic. Love it.
Amen.
We'll clap your hands. God bless you. Listen, if you have an opinion you want to talk to about, read 9 today. You call it 1914 253 I know this is a Democratic town, a one-party town.
You're breaking up.
Because nothing is working. Let it flow. We will be interviewing nominee. I said nominee for mayor. Pastor Wright. Get it in your head. So, keep it for and over again. And so, do we have Pastor Shannon Wright, Republican nominee, on the line?
We do. Good evening.
God bless you, and welcome. I'm extremely honored to have someone of your ilk, nature here, prestige, and all that good stuff. Let me get right into it. Who is Pastor Shannon Wright?
Well, I'm a child of God, so I'll start with that. But I'm a wife, mother, a grandmother, a sister, and a friend. I'm someone that believes and was raised to believe that if you do better, you need to do better, and teach those that don't how to. And that is the basis of my run for mayor of Baltimore.
Well, I thank you. And when we speak of Baltimore, Lord have mercy, I have some quotes here. I don't want to start trouble so early. I usually do it later. But President Obama, whom the Democrats love, noted that Baltimore has a high drug and fatherlessness state. In it's like here, John Stepman, he commented about July come to Congress, Elijah district. He was complaining and yelling, a brutal bully, yelling and shooting off his mouth about the southern border. Border Patrol officials. Yet his district is worse, and even to the Bernie Sanders in 2015, that was through Baltimore, that he was not in the wealthy nation in the country. He thought he was a third world nation. Why want to be this city. It was going down. What's aid, Pastor Shannon?
I apologize. I could not. The connection was kind of bad, and I missed a lot of. I couldn't make out a lot of what you were saying.
Oh, let me say it again.
Okay.
I'll start from the top because it's worth it. President Obama, did you hear that? Did you hear that?
Yes.
Hello? Okay, President Obama said that Baltimore had a high drug and fatherlessness. There's not a lot of fathers in Baltimore. Problem. Senator Bernie Sanders said that Baltimore, when he took a tour of Baltimore, nation. So I guess the question: why would anybody really want to?
I think you're going to have to ask that question one more time.
Okay. Let me try one more time. Dear God, help us today. President Obama said that Baltimore had a problem of drugs and a lack of fathers in the city. And Senator Bernie Sanders in 2015 said that when he had a walkthrough, that he was in a third world nation. Can anybody? Hello?
Yes.
Okay, we heard everything except the question for Madam Mayor.
Okay, the question is based on these assessments. And they want to be a mayor here.
Okay. I think what you
want to be a mayor here. Is that the question?
Based on the state, the conditions of Baltimore being as bad as it is.
Okay. I believe I heard enough of the question to give you the appropriate answer. And again, I apologize. The connection is a little challenging.
Okay.
You know, when you have a situation going on, real leaders step up to fix it. You step up to be a part of the solution, because if you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. So for President Obama at the time to make the assessments that he made, that's what he saw. And for Bernie Sanders to say what he said, that's what he felt. But I happen to believe and know that Baltimore is much more than either of them, than the little tiny box that the both of them put it in. This city has history. This city has culture. This city has a heritage. This city is one of the cities that's the root of our nation. So to talk about it as if this city is something removed from the state of Maryland or from the country is wrong. And again, if you're not a part of the problem, you're a part. If you're not a part of the solution, you're a part of the problem. So those that have the ability need to step up and do something, and that's what I'm doing, and that's why. So the fact that there may be more than one or two issues that need to be addressed does not scare me. It does not make me, not want to do it. It makes me more determined.
Excellent. And I guess we have a problem with high crime. We have a problem with high poverty, and the crime being as bad as it is. I'm not sure if you can hear me, but I can hear you. In 2017, we had 342 murders, which was the highest in the U.S. According to L.E. Bolkin, it says here that according to the U.S. Asylum rates, living in Baltimore, really you are what's the word I'm looking for? Qualified to actually be a refugee. What are your plans as mayor to deal with high crime?
Okay. So to deal with high crime, there's two things that you do. Now, some folks aren't going to particularly like this analogy, and that's okay, because you can't be all things to all people, and I'm all right with that. But being a good leader is akin to being a parent with a child that you are trying to raise. In that, when your child steps out of line, you let them know you love them to death, you're going to take care of them, but you also let them know that what they're doing is unacceptable. And that's kind of how we have to look at what's going on in the city right now. We need a two-pronged approach. We need to let folks know that crime will not be tolerated, number one. And we also need to get to the root of the problem causing the crime, which at the root of it is hopelessness. Folks have lost hope, and hope and faith are very closely related. So when you lose hope, some folk whose faith is not as well grounded as perhaps it should be lose hope and faith. And when those two things leave, a lot of other things come in. So what we have to do is bring back hope and faith. We have to bring back hope for parents so that they have a hope that their children will have a better education and therefore a better future than they did. We have to bring back hope for people that they will be able to leave their homes in the morning and come back in the same condition with all the parts and pieces they left with. We have to bring back the hope that you will be able to find a job that you can actually support your family and keep food on the table and a roof over your head. When we start to bring back those things, those hopes, then the need to do things that show the hopelessness will start to dwindle. So you don't find people, for the most part, that want to just go around doing things they know they shouldn't be doing unless they feel they have no alternative.
Okay.
We've had several administrations of leadership that have allowed folks to understand that they are not the priority. Their needs are not the priority. Moving this city forward in a family-friendly way is not the priority. So you got a lot of folks that are feeling like they got to do whatever they got to do to take care of theirs. Now, when you have leadership in place that is properly grounded and they are taking care of business for all the folks in the city, not just themselves, you don't see those things in the numbers and the amounts that you're seeing them here in Baltimore.
Watch yourself now, Pastor Shannon, Wright. You can't be talking about the administration now. The old good old folks down at City Hall. You can't talk about them now.
I can.
Go ahead, drop it. Go ahead, Dr. Zulica Bazemore. What you got to say about it?
You know, Shannon, Pastor Wright has made really good points when it comes to leadership and them not doing the things that are necessary. And one is bringing back hope. One is bringing back family values. You know, the city of Baltimore has over 3,000 churches within this city limit. And to not have our leaders here in Baltimore City really work with small churches throughout those problem communities. We have 129 micro zones that have been pointed out and that are on the radar with our Baltimore Police Commissioner Harrison. And they are focused on those 129 red zones in the city of Baltimore where a lot of the violent crime and the drug entrepreneurship actually is occurring. So Pastor Wright has her eyes on the right things when you talk about government. This government, you had Jack Young just a few months ago said, well, it's not me going around murdering people. It's not the city council members going around murdering people. You know, what is that for a leader to say? You know, the leader is responsible. This mayor and our chief of police are responsible for making sure that the citizens of this city are safe, where our children can play outside, where our children can walk to school. Not now during the pandemic, but you know what I'm saying? We should, a 73-year-old woman should not have to fear getting out of her car and being shot at while she's bringing home her husband from a dialysis appointment. You know, a 3-year-old should not be shot and killed while in the car with her 8-month pregnant mother, and both being killed, and the 8-month unborn child being killed and murdered and left in their car. You know, this shouldn't be going on in our city. Now, I come from Washington, D.C. We had a murder rate that was 50% high in the late 90s. So I think Pastor Wright has the right outlook, the right mindset. We need to make sure that we're bringing back hope. And to bring that hope is to stop voting the same people, leadership in City Hall, in our government. You know, this administration has been a part of the problem now for over a decade. Think about it. You have Brandon Scott that is 36 years old that came in fresh out of college. The former intermediate mayor, Blake, she helped him get in, youngest city council member at 22. And then, you know, it was right after Sheila Dixon, where he was part of that administration. Then came Pugh. Okay, so you've had 3 consecutive administrations that's been corrupt. These are leaders in our local government. And so why do you think hope has left the people of Baltimore City? Because they've had 3 mayors serving terms that have been corrupt. One is now serving federal prison time. And so you have now a Brandon Scott that's been mentored, that have worked with all 3 of those administrators, those leaders. And why do you think 71% of even the Democratic that are voters here in Baltimore City, when polled, said they don't trust the present leadership? It's time for new leadership. So you have to bring in someone like a Shannon Wright that will bring a team with her, that because not just one person, not just one leader is going to solve the issues. It takes a core team of individuals, government team, working with people all throughout Baltimore City to move this city forward and to get a grip on the crime and to create the job opportunities. And that can be done. Shannon Wright is already working on some initiatives. So she's not even waiting to be voted in. She sees the problem. She's going to be part of the solution.
I like that. Thank you, Dr.
Yes, I'm here. Your thing is very choppy. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to. All right. That's okay. We're going to have to keep going because that's what I got. Do you have a question to ask Republican nominee Pastor Shannon Wright?
Yes, I would love to ask Pastor this question here. You spoke of bringing hope back to the city, and that is the solution to being able to resolve all of the issues or resolve the issue that we know is here in Baltimore. And I heard you talk about those things, what the problems are. I would like to know what are your solutions other than hope, because we know faith without works is dead. What are the works that you have those initiatives that the other co-host talked about? What are those initiatives that you have that can be put in place that is different from what we know hasn't worked here in this city? What is it that your administration will have that is different that will turn this city into the right direction?
So a couple of different things. First of all, on day one, anyone that is not contractually bound and that I would have to keep employed, I would ask all agency heads and department heads for their resignation. And then I would give them the opportunity to interview and prove why they should still be responsible for your your hard-earned tax dollars. That's number one. Number two, we've got to fix our education system. Number three, we've got to look at police reform. I'm not saying defund, I'm saying reform. We also have to look at what is causing such a high recidivism rate in the city and address that and do something and make a move towards restorative justice. So what we have to do is we have to look at folks, why they're doing the things that they're doing, and make it so that once folks go away and they come back, there's a path for them to re-enter the society and community and be a constructive member of that. That's one of the things that we have to do. We have to look at our tax structure. We are taxing folks up out of the city. We have more taxes and a higher tax rate in Baltimore City than the other jurisdictions in Maryland and in the neighboring states. So we've got to address and fix that. When you start to do those things, businesses decide to come in and stay and grow as opposed to run and leave. The population in Baltimore right now is dwindling, and it's dwindling because folks are tired. They're tired of the high crime. They're tired of the jobs and the companies leaving. So we got to fix the things. When you are a business owner and you're looking for where to build your company, you're looking at a couple of things. You're looking where you can get good space and good value for your dollar. You're looking at the tax structure there. And you're looking at, if you're looking to live where you intend to locate your business, you're looking at schools. So we've got to address a whole bunch of things at one time. But as we do that, we will turn things around. Now, with COVID, the schools are all opening remotely. This gives us an opportunity to lobby our state delegation and the governor's office to say, listen, this is that time to fix the education system. This is that time to look at the different opportunities and options that parents have. This is the time to put more out there, more RFPs out there for charter schools. This is the time to expand the voucher program so that parents have more options for schools. And it's also the time to introduce academic savings accounts so parents that want a good education for their children have the ability to get that for them. This is our time to do that.
So let me follow. I want to follow up with that.
Okay.
In regards to the educational system, and then also the businesses moving out of the city, and we all know that because our population rate for Baltimore has steadily gone down, and I agree for those reasons that you mentioned there. So you're proposing that we go to a voucher system for schools versus fixing the public school system that we currently have.
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying without COVID, with all the buildings open, we're looking at overcrowding. We're looking at buildings where students can't drink the water. We're looking at buildings that don't have heat and don't have air. So what I'm saying is, at this time where all the schools are going to be working remotely for at least the first semester, is the time to fix the buildings. Now, if COVID is under control by the second semester, the buildings that you have fixed, you open up for public schools. But you have other options so that the buildings that are not fixed, those students can still be in an appropriate learning setting and environment. By doing that, you help our public schools. Now, that's going to sound strange, but by adding charters and expanding voucher, you help the public schools. I had an opportunity to be on a meeting with the superintendent and the president of the teachers union. And one of the things that they both agreed on, and there wasn't a whole bunch they agreed on, but one of the things that they agreed on is because of the overcrowding of classes, because of the poor conditions in the buildings and all the things going on in the city, the teachers are having to do more than teach. They're having to be caregivers. They're having to be social workers. They're having to do a lot of things that are not in that teaching lane and covered under that teaching degree. So what I'm saying is, by expanding and bringing in more options, it gives the teachers the flexibility and the freedom to be able to teach. And right now, they got a whole bunch of other job descriptions up in there.
And I understand that, but my disagreement with you with saying that the voucher system would assist those public school teachers and this has been my take on this all along, is where if you have a voucher system, you then take the best students out of the public school system and you move them into a private-based system or voucher system or schools that are voucher-based, and you still have not taken care or you still have not addressed the issues that you just currently talked about that is in the public school system. If you then give those students the opportunity to go elsewhere, then to me, and you can address this, would your administration still say, hey, even though we have those students that have left the public school system, we still have to fix those schools, because if you have the students leaving, just like we just talked about the city, population leaving out of the city, they will not address the issues. We'll be like, well, we don't need those schools, so there's no need to address fixing them.
Yeah, excuse me, but I know that's the co-host or someone asking the question.
Yes.
But I think Pastor Wright actually did answer that question. And if you break it down this way, what she's saying is while you are fixing, after you fix some of those public schools where they're lacking heating and air, the right drinkable water, we know they have lead in it, has an effect, a cause and effect on students' brain and mental capacity. So
that's right.
Those things need to be addressed. And this is a prime time to go into those schools, to get contractors, to go ahead and get that money, that additional money from the state because they have it, and to actually repair the schools. That right there is going to make a major difference. The scientists have proven that. Because when you have children that are in a classroom,
ma'am,
let me just
let her go ahead.
Yeah,
let her go ahead first.
But I think she addressed it when she talked about that. Even gives you an opportunity to now go in where the teachers can really teach those students that are in those other public schools, because now they're working with a smaller classroom environment. They've got more funding. They can use that funding in a more structured way because the classrooms are smaller. Students can get more attention from those teachers. They can put together a better teaching plan, okay, and all of those things. So I think that's going to help in both ways, because when you have overcrowding of schools, and those schools are just in disarray from the building and all of that, that has a major and profound impact on even our teachers being able to teach. So I think she actually answered the question.
If I could jump back in for a minute.
Go ahead, Dr.
Your question
Pastor Red.
Your question specifically is, if you allow the vouchers and the academic savings accounts, and as you call them, the better students in the district leave, what happens to those that are left behind? Is that, in a nutshell, your question?
Correct. Yes, ma'am. And those issues that we and I heard you mention that you wanted to fix the schools, which I agree with all of that, fixing the schools. But if you have a drawing out of students that go to other schools, then those schools that the issues haven't been addressed to fix those buildings so that the students can then come back into those schools, that to me seems like won't be addressed, because you say, well, we already have enough students in these particular schools in the public school realm versus, and they're in the vouchers have moved the other ones into the other schools. So there's no need to address the other schools that have been left out, that don't have the air conditioning, that don't have the heat, and all of those things. That's what I'm trying to get to, that if you lower that population, which I get, you lower the student population so that the teachers have a manageable classrooms, you then won't address those schools that need to be addressed, the schools that need to be addressed, and you can then repopulate those schools that can, that now have the ability to be able to have what they need in them. That's what I'm referring to.
Okay, let me jump in. Pastor Wright, before you jump in, let us ask shorter questions. Okay, take a long time to get to the question. So go ahead now. Go ahead, Pastor Wright.
Now, if the state is sending in $17,000 per student, which is roughly what they're sending, you can get a good private school education for roughly $10,000. Now, you can find some a little bit less than that. You can find some a whole lot more than that. But now, I would lobby the state that the difference, so let's say you have a group of students that leave the district or leave to take advantage of the vouchers. I would lobby the state that instead of them sending increased funding, which they're going to say they can't do because they've lost revenue due to COVID, I would ask that difference be still left in Baltimore so that money can be used to fix the building. See, my goal is not to get rid of public schools. My goal is to improve public schools, but to make sure that in the process of doing that, no child that is currently in school falls through the cracks. See, the children in the schools didn't have to wait till the grown folk get the funding together to fix the building so they can take a drink of water from a fountain. The children shouldn't have to wait for the grown folk to get the money together so they could take their coat off in the classroom in the wintertime. So what I am doing is I am simply moving things in a different way and trying to get the difference between the actual tuition and the money that the state allocates to actually fix the buildings so that the buildings in the city are actually usable, so that when you walk into a school in the city, you feel like it's a place to learn. We have a lot of expectations of children. We expect them to walk in, sit down, and start to learn. Whether it's cold, whether it's hot, whether they're hungry, whether there's a leak in the roof, whether there's whatever. But what I'm saying is, let's do things a little bit differently. The next mayor, which prayerfully will be me, is going to have to be able to do a lot more with a lot less. And this is one of the ways that you do that, so that you still have the revenue, you fix the buildings, you fix the public schools, so that no child gets left behind and no teacher gets displaced.
Okay. And we applaud you for that. We appreciate it. I want to, as I say sometimes, elevate this program, and that is that there is what you're talking about.
You still there?
I think we lost him. I'm not sure what happened. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He must have. I think
I love the question from you, co-host, and engagement. That's what voters need to hear.
Absolutely, and that's why I asked those questions, because to me, education is the foundation of making the shift that we need to make here in this city.
No question.
And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just saying, I absolutely agree. That's where the focus has to be.
Yeah, and until we address that, because I'm totally agree with you. There's no, it is not acceptable to have children in a school that has no air conditioner, that has no heat at all, and then you have the expectation for them to learn. That is unacceptable. It should be unacceptable anywhere. And
it should
until be. And until we have that mindset when it comes to that, and we can't move, we can't move forward. The city will continue to be in the condition that it's in. So I'd like to ask you this until, we'll see once he comes back, because I don't want to stop talking. I'm not sure. He'll hopefully be able to connect back in. But what I'd like for you all to kind of talk a little bit about as well is from your perspective. I know you talked about issues that the city has, and I think we all know the issues that Baltimore City has, unfortunately. And I love my city. I love this city, and I think it's like you said, it is filled with such powerful people. Now, how is it that how can we, with a city that we know is rich with intellectual capital, that is rich with business, business knowledge and business savvy that we know is here in the city, how do we, as a community, how would we be able to assist you to be able to do what it is that you would like to do and accomplish as the mayor?
So here's the thing. The business leaders take their cue from the communities. Mm-hmm. So if the communities believe in their city and in their leadership, then the businesses will stick around a little bit longer and invest a little bit more and watch to see the return on their investment. They won't cut ties and run. Right now we've got a situation where businesses come in, they take what they can take, they get whatever they can get from the city. The people of the city get nothing. When they've had enough, they leave, and the city still gets, the residents in the city still get nothing from the deal. So we have to do two things. We have to make sure that the residents of the city understand that they not only have the right to say it's not acceptable, they have the obligation to say it's not acceptable. See, let me tell you something. And I'm about to switch from politician to pastor for a second. One of the reasons why leadership in this city has been able to do the things that it's been able to do is because the people in the pews that are watching the show are asleep. See, when you elect folk and you hope that they will go in there and they will do the right thing, your hope is misplaced. Your hope should be that God strengthens the faith in you to do the works alongside them, to hold them accountable for the entire term of their being in office, for the entire term of their administration. But people go and they pull that switch, and then they go back to sleep until there's a problem. So for everybody that's watching and saying taxes are too high and crime is too high and the schools are failing and the jobs are leaving and people are running out the city, you're right. You going to stay awake and help fix it? That's what it's going to take. Right. It's not just about who you elect, but it's about staying woke after you pull the lever and working together, neighborhood by neighborhood, community by community. When you elect folks, you elect them to represent you. But if you get quiet and complacent and they don't hear from you, they don't know what it is. They know what they think you want, but they don't know what you want. So as much
so
as
let me
I
ask
expect
you a question, Pastor Wright. Would you actually work with a lot of the community leaders, and would you work with, I know that we're working together, and we're going to be helping entrepreneurs begin to build businesses. But would you work with the existing grassroots leaders and people in each community? Would you have an open door policy? And I don't mean like the open door policy that the one that mayors in the past have had. Would you actually arrange where you sit down with people and bring people to the table? Because a lot of people here are so talented with so much vision, but they don't get an opportunity to work with leaders and get invited to the table. They can call, they can try to go online and schedule with the mayor. They want to talk to the mayor about an idea or whatever. Would you have a real, true open door policy in terms of your administration with the community?
So I actually would. And it would work in two ways. There would be set days during the month where you don't have to have an appointment. You can come in. You can register to speak to, because it may not always be the mayor that you want. It may be the council person in your district. It may be someone else that you need some attention from to resolve an issue. But on a regular basis, there will be opportunities for that to happen, and I do mean regularly scheduled. Now, folks need to understand that because the day that folk can just come in and be heard, if a lot of folk come in on that day, it's going to be a wait. But, yes, that will be done regularly. That's number one. Number two, I would like to see that every councilman in every district has that same regularly scheduled open door. Because, see, it's kind of like, you have a car, and the car is making a noise, and you say, okay, I'm going to get that address. And you don't, and then the noise gets louder, and then finally it stops running.
Okay.
So
that's what happened to the street off of St. Paul. Collapsed.
All right. See, now I believe in prevent is better than cure. So if there is an issue, and I'm aware of that issue, and we can address that issue, we can address the issue before it becomes a problem and a chaotic problem.
Right.
Now, there's a couple reasons why you want to do that. One, because, again, prevent is better than cure. Prevent is easier than cure. Prevent is faster than cure. And prevent is cheaper than cure.
Right.
Yes.
So it just makes good leadership sense to go with prevent instead of cure. So I would want to see not only City Hall have regularly scheduled open door days, but each councilmanic district.
Yeah.
Because, see, that's the only way that you can actually address problems before they become catastrophic problems. We have some issues in the city with water. We have some issues in the city with infrastructure and potholes. We have some issues in the city with garbage collection. Now, let's talk about garbage collection for a minute. I have worked with more than one of the organizations and groups that have been doing district-wide and citywide cleanups in the city. Other than you picking up in front of your piece of property where you live, whether you own it or you rent it, there should not have to be citywide cleanup days if the city's Department of Public Works is doing what it needs to do the way it should be doing it. Now, that's number one.
Right.
Now, when you don't, then you have other problems. Now, when you got all the trash, whether it's from the folk that live there or the illegal dumping, which is a big problem, and that goes to a quality of life issue where fines need to be enforced, then you also have things like rodents, mice and rats, all sorts of other issues. Now, those other issues are some of the, and in cities specifically, you got lead in the pipes, you got lead in the paint, and you got rodent issues. All of those things contribute to health issues for children. Now you got another problem. Because then you got children that you're expecting to send to school and expect to learn when they have trouble breathing. They're exposed to lead. They're exposed to rodent droppings. They're exposed to all kinds of things that negatively affect them. So, again, prevent is better than cure.
All right. Can I jump in, Pastor Wright?
Sure can.
Thank you so much. This is my show, right? Okay, good. Thank you.
Nice to see you back. we were just keeping it going while you were away.
Thank God. I know y'all can handle it. Listen, there is. I was talking to someone that was in the city some time ago, and they said the problem with the schools of the heating and the air conditioning is the fact that they don't have enough HVAC employees or technicians to actually do that. There's only about 3, and they run around with the head cut off trying to do things. When they actually have schools like Lincoln Tech and other places that could actually contract new graduates that could actually
and 20 contractors and got proposals. I can give them to you, Pastor Wright. I did that a year ago when I was doing that.
Running for mayor, exactly. And so, and when they do the schools, they talk about doing refurbishing schools that were near ShopRite and some other places. And when I was there as a community association leader, I asked a question of the folks from the city, and other community leaders were very quiet. I asked them, how come they're using people from the Able Foundation, which is a conflict of interest because the deputy mayor is a board director of the Able Foundation and the wife of Greg Bernstein, the state's attorney's office, former. Why are they using those white employers, Whiting and Turner and other places, and the Maryland Stadium Authority has connections with that? Are there no black minority contractors that could do this work for the schools in the city? And that's a problem too.
Absolutely there is.
But you know what, though? That goes back to multiple administrations back to back of poor leadership. Now, Baltimore City has a large Department of Housing, and most of its programs are funded through HUD. HUD has a program called Section 3, which means that in order for you to get a contract, you have to give a certain percentage of your subcontract work to black and brown folk that live in the city that are either returning citizens or re-engaging in working in the community. But again, several administrations of poor leadership have not taken advantage of that. There are tax benefits to doing it, and there are jobs, and not just a job, but entrepreneurial opportunities where folks can learn a skill and a trade to not have to worry about keeping food on the table. But again, poor leadership has not taken advantage of those opportunities that are already here. So in answer to your question, yes, there are black and brown folk that could do the work, but that means actually doing other work and finding them.
Oh, right.
And so let me elevate this just to another level. Now it's time to cause trouble. I took advice from a very wise person, and I said I put a Facebook post out challenging Brandon Scott to come to this forum and talk about his qualifications for mayor and blah, 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 blah. I said he's a coward. Is he going to run from it? Is he going to show up? So I took the advice from someone else, and actually a learned person, a great doctor, whose name was Bazemore, and said, should I call him and should I invite him personally? And she said, do it. And so I said, okay. So I called City Operator. I got the number, and I called, and I got the scheduler's name, and I sent an email. I've never, ever heard anything else. So he was afraid to face Pastor Shannon Wright. Why was he afraid? Does anybody else want to answer that question?
Well, I'm just going to make it a real simple answer. You said you offered him the opportunity to discuss and have a conversation about his qualifications to be mayor. It would have been a very short conversation.
Yes, indeed.
That's right on point.
And being that you have an hour to fill up, that would have barely been a commercial break.
Ouch. Ouch again, but it's real.
I was switching my party affiliation. Let it be known, I'm going from Democrat to do-nothings to Republican today.
Thank you, and I was so delighted for you to say, Ms. Bazemore, how can I switch my party? So you're welcome aboard. Thank you for walking away. It's time. It's time for change.
I can't take 4 more years of this nonsense. I can't take 4 more years of this nonsense.
You know, all jokes and kidding aside, Brandon Scott is not going to step up to the table, the plate, or anything else until he feels he has to. So if the citizens, the residents, the voters in this city want to see some intelligent conversation and debate, well, that would be a challenge. But if you want to see conversation and debate, you're going to have to hold his feet to the fire because, see, he feels he's already become mayor, that he's got enough votes, that he does not have to look for any more than he's already got. But I will say this. People in this city are tired of the way things are going. People in this city are tired of even their vote being taken for granted.
But can I ask you this really quickly, Pastor? In regards to that, with you saying that the people of this city are tired. Now, all of us know on this call, on this thing right now, know that the citizens of Baltimore have put the same people in these positions for more than a decade, and I'm talking more than several decades. So, what's the difference now with them saying that they're sick and tired of being sick and tired than years of, the years that have gone on and haven't still make that change? What's going to prompt them to make that change now?
Can I say something for a minute, Pastor Wright, if you don't mind?
Sure.
I've been out on the grounds of this city for the past 4 years. I've interviewed over 500 people. They were entrepreneurs, from pastors to entrepreneurs to housewives to historians to young people to homeless people to even people in City Hall, even the former Mayor Pugh I've interviewed. And I got to tell you that this is a pivotal moment. Sometimes God will allow things to happen, such as a pandemic, for people to tell people it's time to just sit still and think and commune with me. Take a look around, okay? What can you do to be a part of the solution? Take a look around. What have you been doing that have made you part of the problem? Take a look around. What are your leaders doing? When I look at it like this, a lot of people, even according to Fox 45, said 71%, the last poll that was done the early part of last week, 71% of Democrats in the city of Baltimore has said they do not trust the present administration. They don't trust the present administration. What I will say to that is, for me, never to be a politician, never have ran for any office, and for me to get 651 Democratic votes, I think that speaks some volumes here. I think it speaks some volume when you have the Board of Elections and Fox 45. Now that Fox 45 is, because we protested, 17 of us protested in front because they were choosing the 4 top runners, and all of them were Democrats, and they were silencing by not bringing forth the Democrat Party and letting them be heard by the voters. So they're running scared right now. There's a political machine in Baltimore City that has stopped voters from making wise decisions. They have stopped voters from listening to all the candidates. They have stopped voters because why? Because they are part of the problem. So this election season is going to be a little different. I think the voters will have an opportunity, and I'm going to put this out there like I did at the on Queen Jackie's mix station last week with Shannon Wright. It's going to be a surprise, okay, because the voters will not be denied in hearing from the GOP and from Shannon Wright and from even some of the other people that have been nominated on the Republican card. So you're going to see a lot more in terms of television. You're going to hear a lot more in terms of radio because it's time. And then guess what? When God says it's time, it's time. And I think the people of Baltimore have a lot of common sense, a lot of intellect, and they're very intelligent. And they understand that their city is losing, that they're losing the residents. They're losing young people to murders. They know that it's time to make a different choice. And so all we have to do is make sure that we tell someone that there's another candidate, that we tell someone that people like Pastor Turner with Radio 1, giving us the opportunity to be heard. That's going to speak volume. When they're now that Fox 45 is given the being fair, more balanced, I think you're going to see a difference at the polls. I really do.
Oh yeah. I also want to say this. I want to say thank you again, Dr. Bazemore. That I want to shout out to the memory of, and this program is dedicated to the memory of my good friend Sergeant Lewis Hobson of the Baltimore City Police Department, who risked his life and been fired numerous times and fought in the court systems of unfair racial discrimination to get his job back, and then he learned how to help other people like myself to try to get fair equity, along with Antron Travers and those fine black Baltimore City police officers who stood up against racism in the police department. He has passed on, and we give him a salute in his memory as a warrior. He is the father of the consent decree. That's where it came from.
Wow.
Those brave officers there and fighting injustice and with the DOJ. And so we are still under a consent decree. It's hard to tell when you got police officers who are going in people's homes, stealing. When you've got them holding. One officer was upset because the man that came to do the work for his house, he didn't like the work he did, so he got 3 other detectives, good God Almighty, from homicide to go into the man's home and put him out by gunpoint and make him go to an ATM machine and take the money back that he had paid
2 weeks ago.
him. And when you have this criminal activity, I mean, I'm just saying, and a commissioner who doesn't want to, say, well, it's not my problem, it's just the problem of the social business, he should be fired. I'm glad I'm not mayor. I'm glad because my first day I'd be firing everybody. I'd be firing the school CEO. Get those titles away. CEO, you're not running a business. You can't even keep the heat on. Take that $300,000 salary from, and they should not be allowed to vote themselves. The city council, any kind of pay raises, they should get the money back. If you got poor results, you shouldn't get paid as a leader. What do you think about that, Pastor Wright?
I agree. In business, you have performance audits. So why would we not, when elected folks are the ones responsible for spending all your tax dollars, why should they not be held accountable and have to have some sort of a performance standard or a performance audit on if they are actually handling the business that they were elected to handle?
Come on, Pastor.
I ain't mad at that.
You preach it.
I ain't mad at that. Because, see, if you're thinking about it the right way, okay, no pun intended, but if you're thinking about it the right way, if you elect me and you make me have to adhere to and jump through hoops to reach these performance standards, then in 4 years or 3.5 years, when I tell you I want your vote again, there should be no problem.
That's right.
So if you
accountability,
and I meet, or that's right, and I meet or exceed those expectations you have, then I expect you to vote for me again. And you expect that when you do, and I have another administration and another term, that I'm going to continue to meet or exceed your expectations. That's the way it's supposed to work.
What was the mayor's name in Washington, D.C.? Marion Barry.
Marion Barry.
Oh, my goodness.
His wife was a good friend of mine.
He could do no wrong. As a matter of fact, although he was the mayor of D.C., hold on a second, he was the mayor of D.C., I benefited from his fighting for blacks to get in government because my first job was working for the federal, well, I can't say it, but it was a federal law enforcement agency which would never have came to my school at Poly, the greatest school on the planet, and gave us, recruited us right in high school. And that's what recruiters should be able to do for black schools and black. And I got to say this because it's important to me. This is a black town, so I'm kind of tired of seeing other ethnicities run this town. And it's like a South African Soweto. Only small minorities of non-blacks really run the town. And I can say this: Brandon couldn't come here because he couldn't get permission. Now I'm from O'Malley. Yeah, that's who runs this town. Get him out. Throw him out.
But see, here's the reason why I believe that mayor, why you hear the constituents of Washington D.C. Are so endearing to Mayor Barry, and they call him Mayor for life. Yeah, they call him Mayor for life because of what he did for the citizens, and you could
he
tell
did a whole lot for our city, man.
Right.
He did.
Right. He and that's why people are so endearing to him because he not only cared for the citizens, but he out and as you I believe that the pastor mentioned, he was out there talking to the citizens. He had
every day.
Well, not an open door policy.
I could walk in. You know what? I could walk into Mayor Barry's office. I could walk into Barry's offices. Of course, he used to come to all our boxing shows, but I could walk into his office because he was really a people's servant. He truly was a people's servant.
And we don't have that here in this city.
Yeah. And that makes a difference. And this city, Baltimore, needs someone who has that mindset, but who is willing, has to be willing to take on what we know is in place here in this city, because it's not going to be an easy task, and it's not something that is going to be readily acceptable. You come in here and you want to switch up things and do things. That's not how we do things here. That's the first thing that's going to come out of people's mouths. That's not how we do things here. But in order for change to happen, there has to be someone who is strong-minded enough to say, hey, I'm coming in, but not only am I coming in, I'm coming in because I have a heart for the people, and I have the people who see that I have a heart for them, and they in turn are backing me because they believe in the things that I'm going to do for them. And once they get in there, they are held accountable for those things that they're saying that they're going to do, and they do get them done in a strategic way. And then, as the pastor said, it's not only about what I tell you I'm going to do, but it's what I'm showing you that I've done, because now have a record that shows that I have a heart for the people, that I have a concern for what it is that this city can do, and we know that it can do, and we're working towards getting those things done. And here's what we've done. We know we still have a whole litany of things that need to get done, but here's what we're doing that we've already worked on, and here are things that we're working towards as well. And here's my plan.
Yep. Thank you, Professor Leroy McKenzie Jr. Yeah,
I
thank you.
Want to say one thing, McKenzie.
Hold on a second.
I want to say one thing to what you just said. That's why I endorse Pastor Shannon Wright. And people that know me know that I don't just endorse people because I had made a decision, because so many people reached out and said, Ms. Bazemore, please continue to run, because we love your mindset. We see your love for the people. And, my thing was, I really want God to pick to really put the right person in office, because I had a heart for the people. When I reached out to Pastor Wright and we had lunch together, I got to really get a in-depth look at her spirit, her heart, her mindset, and it wasn't just for that lunchtime. We have done a whole lot together already, and Pastor Turner can vouch for that. She already has me on her team. So if that's not a person that actually would work with the people, here it is. I was her opposition. I was someone that I didn't know her, but I was someone that made a sacrifice to run for the people because I had such good love, a lot of love for the people, the talent, the things that I know are available here in the city of Baltimore, but the leadership that really don't even understand what their own city has access to, because they've been so busy making behind the closed doors deals with their constituents and people they've taken money from for years, where they didn't even realize all the things that they even have access to. When she asked me to work with her,
can you hold that point for a second? Now, you are from D.C., is that right?
Yeah, I am, yes.
Right. And you've been here how long?
I've been here almost 8 years now, but my grandmother, great-grandmother, and mom are born and raised in Baltimore.
Okay. As Pastor Wright would say if she was in the pulpit, I'm going somewhere. Jack Young, who used to work for Johns Hopkins, that's why he's still taking cues from Johns Hopkins, because he is still a plant from Johns Hopkins, actually has been here in the city government for 23 years. I remember when he first started, because I was married to his cousin. And she told me, he's the best of our family. If that's the best of your family, good God Almighty. I went on the corner to Rutland Avenue to try to help him out, and I said, if you're going to help the citizens of Baltimore, I'll help you. And he went and he got elected. Okay, he started out well, but somewhere along the line he got corrupt. So my point is, in the homestead tax issues and all this other kind of stuff, when you have this type of issue, with you've got to get advice from someone who's only been here for 8 years. You've been here 23 years in government. You should be telling them information, not them telling you information to help you do the right thing to even function in your job. That's why I call him the mock mayor. Get him out of office. Matter of fact, stop out today. Get out and give us a break and let us live, is what I put my post on, and sit down and let a real leader go. And I see the real leader is Pastor Shannon Wright. That's why I'm endorsing her also. Okay, she need to go in the office today. We can't take another day of a phony leader.
Absolutely. She has the right mind.
I'd like to interject for a brief second here. Folks, and I hope that folks will hear this and not just hear the words, but understand the words. you have a choice. There are actually 5 people on the ballot. But I will say this. 2 you won't see. Of the 3 you will see, there's only 1 that is actually the right choice, and I'm going to tell you why. The next leader of this city needs to be someone that understands how to do more with less, number 1. Has to understand that before COVID, this city was dangerously close to receivership because it was already going in the wrong direction. And this city needs leadership and a mayor that is not from here, and I'm going to tell you why. I've heard so much of people say, well, you're not from here. You don't know nothing about here. Well, as I asked Mr. Wallace in the debate, well, you from here. You born and raised here. How you let it get like this?
There you go.
You need a clear set of eyes.
I said that all during the debate.
Yep. You need a clear set of eyes that can see it. And it's not beholden to Hopkins or beholden to the O'Malleys or beholden to anybody else, but can actually come in and see what needs to be done and do what needs to be done because they don't have those strings and those ties and those chokeholds on them that the other folks have. So it seems to me this city really wants to be turned around. It needs to. It needs to. You know, what was that? Now, y'all church folks, so I'm not going to tell you which person it was, but there was a person in the Bible that was known for his wisdom. And when more than one person claimed a child, and they both claimed that child, and he said, okay, I'm going to cut the baby in half. You each have half. Okay? But the one that really had the heart for that child said, no, I'd rather the child be healthy than me be happy. We don't have that kind of leadership here. We don't have the kind of leadership here that will put their pay increase legislation on the back burner to make sure that we have legislation to get some folk up in the schools that can put heat in the buildings. We don't have folk here. So let me tell you something. The one folk you got on this ballot, and I'm gonna get a combination of real urban real quick for a minute.
Drum it.
Understand something. Listen, and this is specifically to the OGs up in the hood. Y'all need to understand something. Now, you about to elect the person that's going to make the decisions for this city for the next 4 years. Now, do you prefer someone that will tell you something you may not want to hear, but it's the gospel truth, and they will work their way through the problem, because sometimes it gets worse before it gets better, but you have faith in knowing that they are going to bring you to the other side? Or do you want a person that's talking out of one of the many orifices that they may have and showing you that they mean you no good? Now, city council president, during the primary season when he wanted everybody's vote, pushed for legislation to restructure the power of the Board of Estimates and take those 2 seats away from the mayor. City council president, during the primary season when he wanted everybody's vote, pushed for term limits. City council president, pushed for city administrator. Now, primary done. He got your vote. He is the Democrat nominee. He is presuming that he is the mayor, even though 70.4% of the registered Democrats that voted in the primary did not vote for him. Now, you want to talk about folks in the Bible that turn tail and do all kinds of things. As soon as the primary, the ink is done on the certification of the primary, Council President Scott no longer has a fire for that term limit thing. Well, every 4 years is a term limit. You get to vote again. Council President Scott no longer has a fire to reassess and equalize the power with the Board of Estimates and take any of it away from the strong mayor system. Now, but Council President Scott does still want to see this city spend $250,000, because that's what it's going to take for a good one, to hire a city administrator. So in other words, he don't want term limits because he don't want you to put them out. He don't want to restructure the Board of Estimates because he wants to keep the power, and he wants a city administrator so he ain't got to do the work. Y'all do the math.
Okay, there you go. And plus he has a scapegoat. Plus he creates a scapegoat.
Oh, my God.
Don't leave that
Somebody
out.
call the fire department.
Don't leave that out.
Lord have mercy.
I think this city could take 4 years of that. I'm going to pray for you from a distance, because I'm going to get a watch.
Let me drop another one on you since you started. Now I didn't start this. Pastor Shannon Wright. Hope you know me. He started this. But he is also the poster boy for Pimlico, and he worked to make sure that they got their money, and the good white folks can come down from all over the country, and the Jews can come from Upper Park Heights. There should be no upper or lower, but the blacks live in the lower. Remember that now. We should do something about that. And
we're gonna fix that. If
it's lower,
wait. I'm sorry.
If it's
Hold on
lower,
a second.
stay your butt
Can I
up there.
interrupt you for a quick second? I need y'all to learn me. I need y'all to learn me something real quick. Now Pimlico, you said Park Heights, right?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. Now that's supposed to bring money and jobs and hopefully something for the people, but it's in Park Heights, right?
Okay.
Yes.
Where exactly does Council President Scott hail from?
He comes from Park Heights, and they already had $63 million to rebuild affordable housing in the Renaissance.
Wait, hold on.
$17.5 million from.
Hold on for a minute, because I'm going somewhere with this.
So now, can you imagine where the $30 billion is going to go for Pimlico?
Okay. As I was trying to
for
say,
black people. Go ahead.
The deal with Pimlico is at Park Heights, and Council President Scott's from Park Heights, and Park Heights got the however many millions that you don't see a penny of in Park Heights. So what makes anybody think that this deal he fought so hard for is actually going to benefit the people in Park Heights, much less beyond Park Heights? Now, I mean, come on, folks, y'all for a second.
It ain't.
You can either continue to vote for what you have if you like the high crime. If you like, Maryland has 24 poor-performing schools. 12 of them, half, are in Baltimore.
Right.
So now,
and probably six of them in Park Heights.
Well, now, if you have been in office in some way, shape, form, or fashion for over a decade, and you couldn't fix that, now you want to be responsible for the whole city?
Well, do you remember when I talked about the corruption that was between it was in Park Heights with the Catherine Pugh's Job Center that the FBI went to? That's in Park Heights. Let me see here. The George Mitchell School, where he shouldn't have been involved in anything at all with his criminal background, was in.
It's in Park Heights.
Okay, he got that from the delegates downtown with Shannon Green Mitchell. So it's a corrupt linkage, and because he is winning, and they got probably all getting white envelopes out of the prosperity of the people that should have been given to the people in Park Heights. Now, I know that you did a $300 million desegregation settlement with the NAACP. Is that right?
That is correct.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
I had to do my homework. God bless you. Don't think I didn't do my homework. I did my homework. And so you came in as a negotiator. Is that right?
One of.
So when they brought you in as a special ops financial person, in that kind of mega multi-million-dollar scenario, that means you can handle making proper deals for the benefit of black people. And this city is suspect with the segregatist attitude of black people being downed in this city that's predominantly chocolate. And in that, the NAACP has been watered down. The former president bragged in a meeting and said that what she did for the people of Park Heights when it comes to Pimlico Racetrack, well, she got the new trash cans. And I looked at her like, are you serious? The rest of the money went in their pockets. So the city got money, and the NAACP got money in this branch. And that's what is holding the people back. And that's why we had to revolt and get her out of there, because she was doing nothing for the people of the city. And I took it personal because I'm chocolate. So that's what the connection is. Yeah.
I hear you. You know, it's unfortunate it's unfortunate here in Baltimore City. You got the NAACP branch. I was a member of NAACP in every state that I've lived in. And with regards to that case, as I said, one of the folks that worked on, and let me clarify something for folks that don't understand something. When you're working on something for an organization, a national organization like the NAACP, now at the time when this was going on, Julian Bond was the chairman and Mfume was president. Now, anybody that thinks you're actually sitting down having coffee with either one of them while you're working through whatever situation you're working through is sadly mistaken. It don't go like that, okay? You're working through your branch, and you're working through your state delegation. That's number one. And in order to get anything done, you got to have a group of folks that you would call negotiators. And I'm going to tell you why. Because any time you have an issue like that, and you have a need for a settlement because there has been an egregious wrong done, that means that there are multiple sides of the argument. Because in that particular case, and there's a reason why I'm going there, but in that particular case, you needed to sit down, negotiate, and navigate the waters with the parents and what they wanted with regards to the education desegregation part of it and the housing part of it. Then you had to negotiate and navigate what the teachers and the teachers union wanted. Then you had to negotiate and navigate what the community actually wanted. So that is three separate groups that don't always get to the same page.
Right.
So you have to find a way to get them close enough in the same chapter that the page kind of blends together and continues the story. Now, NAACP is known throughout the country for being an integral part of these kinds of settlement issues. Now, I came down here to Baltimore, and I saw that there's a definite difference in the type of education that your children will get in public school depending on what your zip code is. And I came to Baltimore, and I saw that there's definitely a difference in the response time of the police department depending on the zip code that you live in. And I came to Baltimore, and I saw that there is a difference in the hourly wage, the type of job, and your security on a job depending on the color of your skin and your zip code. Now, these are the types of things that the NAACP has been fighting all over the country. They're down here headquartered in Baltimore. Can you tell me what kind of wrong the leadership of this city has been able to do, that the ones perpetrating the crime against the folks that look like us are the ones that look like us, that the NAACP got to turn tail and run? How that work?
Let me tell you how it works. It works
for a second.
It works because the former president of the ACP was a high-ranking official in the housing department. So you're working for the enemy. And you are in bed with the enemy. Then how in the world can you affect change? The enemy is going to give you white envelopes, and you keep your mouth shut, and you hold the people down. You don't do anything. You stay in. You stay in. Yeah, no protests. You didn't see the person with no protest. She joined the protest when somebody else was doing something. But the president who should have been there at the time was Elder C.D. Witherspoon. He would have affected change. He's radical, and he would have done it. And they now, how can you? Let me ask you this question, Pastor Wright, to let you know what you're dealing with. Yes, how can the major the candidate not win the election, but his team wins positions? And I ran as third vice president as a favor to him, and I won, and I became second and became first. They was saying, "Oh my God, not him becoming first, becoming president by attrition. We don't want him because he would cause problems." Because I would deal with the nonsense. I have no qualms about righting wrongs as an anti-corruption person. But the person who should have won was Elder C.D. Witherspoon. He won. He actually had volunteered from childhood, from preteen, to be in the NAACP. He came up through the ranks. He's been on the front lines, and he's the one that led the revolts and the riots, as they call them. They call them uprisings. No, we call them what it is. It was riot. People were miscontent, and he led them as a pastor with a bullhorn and a kufi hat. He was always on the forefront. And they didn't want him to be president because he would have taken the NAACP to the streets. I said it. But it's corporate. Right. It's corporate. It's corporate.
That's why we need her. That's why we need change. That's why we need change. We need someone that has not been tainted. That has not been tainted.
Let me go a little higher here. Pastor Wright needs to pray for me right now because I'm about to say something that perhaps will get me in trouble. City Hall is homosexual, and this town is known for homosexuality with pride races and grown men dressing dresses and wearing high heel shoes on Charles Street. It's a traditional event. When you are noted for perverseness and homosexuality, and you celebrate 19 religions, and one of those religions is witchcraft, what do you expect?
Well, a whole bunch of mixing up. That's what you expect, I guess, then.
Most of the ministers at City Hall are homosexual. I've been there. I've seen it. They've got gay pride magazines in the lobby because some of the former mayors were homosexual. So that's what we have, and that's the linkage here of perverseness and darkness, and this is a dark city on purpose.
I kept saying it. But guess what? We also have a lot of talent and a lot of good-spirited people here, and those are the ones that we want to tap into to make our city great, to make our city righteous, to do for our children.
Let Pastor Wright. She's trying to say something. Go ahead.
So let me just say this. I remember hearing a phrase somewhere, "Judge not, lest ye be judged," and something about ye without sin casting the first stone. So I'm not finding myself to be someone that has the right or the authority to judge other folk.
Right.
But I will say this. There is a certain spirit or a certain right that we all have to some semblance of privacy, respecting whatever it is that the grown folk choose to do. I'm going to say this. We have to, as a city, as a state, and as a nation, get back to putting business first. And what I mean by that is this. I may ask you how your day is because I care about you as a person, but my priority is to care about all the people. And we seem to have a lot of leadership in the city that cares about their people, their select, whatever that there is, whatever that group may be, whether it's their own family and securing the funds for their retirement, whatever it may be. But until we actually make a conscious and elevated choice to vote for somebody that actually will put people first, not because it sounds good in an election, but because they are properly grounded in their faith and fear their God more than anything you can do.
Right.
Until you do that, none of this is going to change. And I understand the separation of church and state, and that's fine. But I will say this. The first leaders, if you read the book of Exodus, the first leaders came from a certain group, and there was a certain way in a conversation between a man and his father-in-law and how to break things down and how to be able to adhere to, at the time, the 10 laws and rules that we had to obey. And our system grew from that. And in the beginning, that system was headed by those that professed faith, that were grounded in an understanding of those initial laws and rules. And we've gotten so far away from that it's almost anything goes, and whatever I can tell you that sounds good enough for you to pull that switch. But until you, and I say this, and I really mean this, until we actually elect folks that are running for office because they actually have a spirit of caring for the people in the city and are grounded in their faith, this will not change.
Absolutely.
Let me, and I applaud you for saying that. You really are a pastor, aren't you?
I am.
Wait a minute, how can a pastor run for office, as someone asked me?
Well, see, now this is the thing that gets real interesting. because the folk that run for office around these parts for the last several administrations seem to be beholden to a lower authority or sideways authority, whatever way they want to call that thing. That's why you've gotten some of the sideways leadership that you've gotten. But when folks profess and declare openly their higher power and their higher authority, and they are guided by that, you will see the difference. You don't have to listen to the words that they say. You will see it in their actions.
Absolutely.
The actions from the leaders in the last several administrations in this city showed where their faith is. You want more of that?
No. Can't take no more. Good God Almighty, no.
Okay.
What about you, Mackenzie? Can you take more of that?
Well, you already know my answer. I already told you prior
Drop
to
it, sir.
this
Drop it.
that the whole city council, all of them need to be gone.
Throw out the trash. Take out the trash.
I think there's very few that I believe that need to be still in place, and it goes exactly what Pastor said about these are folks who have known the issues, who have known the problems that this city has, and they have done nothing. They have done nothing. They have done nothing.
So,
yep.
You know, they're...
And...
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Pastor Wright. He's made his point. He's the impact chaser.
There are some folks that are currently elected in the city that I think honestly do believe they're doing the right thing. I believe they want to get to the right place, but I think they got on the wrong road to get there. But I will tell you this. In any kind of conversation, to have a conversation, there has to be two voices. If you are having a conversation and there's only one voice, that's a whole other kind of conversation with some other issues that need to be addressed. This city has had a conversation with only one voice and one seat at one table, thinking and acting and talking like that's where the power is. But I will say this. True power does not come from a seat at a table. True power is a seat at all the table.
Come on.
And in order to have a conversation where there's an actual solution that is workable, not just a piece of work, but workable, you actually have to have more than one voice in the room and in that conversation. Because as my grandmother used to say, between your side, their side, somewhere in the middle is the truth. So if we're going to find solutions, you got to hear two sides of the story. You got to hear two sides of the issue, and somewhere in the middle, find a medium, find a solution that's actually workable for the people. But all of the solutions, all of the voices, all of the choices have been on one side since 1967.
Oh,
that's right.
But that's kind of like.
Can I?
That's kind of like. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
No, I just want to ask you this real quick, and it has to do with that, with coming in the middle. How do you, as a Republican candidate, work with a city council that's provided that you get elected, providing that there's a city council that is predominantly Democratic? How do you work with them in order to be able to get things done that we need to get done here in the city?
So here's the thing. If everybody actually puts people of the city, of their district first, and of the city as a whole, then you will find that we have more in common than what divides us. Now, if you want to be like the current councilman in District 3 that wants to make sure to take out driving lanes so they can put in bike lanes, when in District 3 we don't really have too many bicycle riders, and then take the biggest of their donations from the parking garages and the towing company that now will tow your car because it is no longer a parking lane or a driving lane but a bicycle lane. That's one kind of leadership. Now, that's one type. But now you do also have the type that wants to actually make change, and they want to actually bring down crime in their district and clean up their district. And I have seen some of those. I have already had the opportunity to work with some of the different councilmen. One of the cleanups that I did, first one I did was with Scott Pressler when he came in. Now, I will say
Right.
Christopher Burnett was the only member of City Council that actually put on his work clothes and his work gloves and came out when we did a cleanup in his district and was hauling trash with everybody else.
Hold on a second. You weren't out there with trying to clean up the city as a mayoral candidate. Were you trying to do that, you say?
I was. I have on several occasions.
What in the world is going on here? You can't do that, ma'am. You are a highfalutin.
That's not true. A couple of us did it. You even got people like Christopher Anderson, who's running for City Council 7, that was out cleaning. Different people. That's what we do. We in the community.
Come on now. Well, this is an atrocity. This is an atrocity. You can't do that here in the state of Baltimore. You gotta, as a Democrat, you just walk through and just make a statement for the camera. That's what you do.
Oh, okay. I get my hands dirty.
Absolutely.
Hold on. We have 53 years of Democratic rule, 53 years of Democratic domination, 53 years of, it looks like we had 950,000 people in 1950, but now we're down to 600, maybe almost going down below that.
589,000 plus people.
Killing the city, just killing the city. Why vote for another Democrat? Matter of fact, I'm changing my party affiliation. I need a form immediately, not immediately, immediately.
I have
what party affiliation are you with, Dr. Professor McKenzie, Jr.?
I'm a Democrat. I'm not changing my affiliation, but what I tell people is this, is that I am someone who believes in the mindset, and I believe it was said here. If we can get things done, I'm for people who want to get things done. This city.
Well, here's a problem with not changing.
He's like me.
Okay. Well, no, please don't say that. But what I'm saying is that Dr. Bazemore, you're wonderful. He's okay. But my point, you won't be like him. Good God Almighty.
Okay.
Listen. Stay on the safe side. The party affiliation problem is, without switching, is that you can't get a ballot to vote for Pastor Shannon Wright if you were a Democrat. You only get Brandon Scott, and that's just trash.
Not in the general elections. You're supposed to be able to get.
That's the.
Not in the general elections.
That's the general. Yeah, the general, you get to vote. That's where she would be running against.
You can vote anybody you want that's on that ballot.
They would both be on that. They would both be on the ballot.
Okay,
that's how that works.
It almost worked, but he was too smart. That's right.
You try to catch him sleep, but you try to get him to walk away.
I tried it, but he was too smart for me.
That's not going to happen.
You got to get up early in the morning to fool Professor Leroy McKenzie Jr., let me tell you. So Pastor Wright, let me ask you this question. Is Kenny Bazemore on this line?
Kenny Bazemore is listening in.
Yeah, let me stop for a second and do a humorous break here. We've been very serious for a long time. Bring Mr. Kenny Bazemore to the line, please. And three-time, there he is, three-time world boxing champion, IBA champion. I think that's what it is. I think I got it right.
IBC and USBA.
There you go. You should know. You're the boxing manager. And so I just want to say it. I just want to say it officially here. If Pastor Shannon Wright wins this election, or should I say when she wins this election, I will challenge, the Music Man will challenge Kenny Bazemore into a one-round battle publicly. You set it up.
I'll set that up.
And I'll have Professor McKenzie in my court.
He looked at me and said, "Is he for real?"
I know, right?
Yeah.
He trying to be like Roy Jones going up against. He's trying to be like Roy Jones going up against Mike Tyson. Come on, man.
I ain't scared no Kenny Bazemore. He's a has-been. I'm scared of him. Yeah. I will be Pastor Wright.
Don't be fooled. I'm still in shape.
Don't make yourself pay the price, man. Don't make yourself pay the price.
He said, "Don't make yourself pay the price."
Hold on a second, Pastor
Don't
Wright.
make yourself pay the price.
Yes, sir.
Pastor Wright,
Yes,
I will need prayers, and I want you to do before we start in the boxing ring, right in front of City Hall. Put a ring there. I will be in my trunks and all that, and I want you to say a prayer, Pastor Wright, and wink in my eye, a long prayer, long enough for me to get out the ring and run.
Well, I think we can arrange that. This has been
Wow.
Yeah.
Time is flying. It's been an hour and 35 minutes, Music Man Turner.
Well, what has happened? I didn't want to say anything, but what has happened is the computer digital system has clicked in for another term, and I'm just giving you this time. You still got 22 minutes.
Okay.
Isn't that wonderful? I mean, you're not paying me anything.
Yeah, God word.
Well, I do appreciate this time. It has been a blessing to talk to folks and to hear from folks that really want to see this city move forward and change the trajectory of where it's going. I honestly believe that working together and being solution-oriented, we collectively can make sure that the best days for Baltimore are still yet ahead.
I like that.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Now, here's an important piece there. Oh, I'm sorry. I was going to say an important piece real quick before I turn over to Dr. McKenzie is how can folks reach you to get on the to vote for you, and then how can folks for the corporate folks and private citizens fund your campaign, because it takes money.
It does, and it's kind of. I put out a message to some of my folk recently, and I said, the good book says that faith without works is dead, and so is campaigning without finance. It doesn't work. So to be able to address that issue, our website is wrightforbaltimore.com, and people can certainly wrightforbaltimore.com.
Spell it.
Spell it.
For Pastor Wright, yeah, please.
WRIGHTFORMARYLAND.com. And when you go there, you can see where we stand on some of the issues. You can see some of the media coverage that we've had, and on every page, so you won't miss it, is a nice big old button that says donate. and matter of fact, when you go into that button, there's a button inside there that says reoccurring. So if sometimes we got a bit of a budget. If people want to stretch that out, they can feel free to do so.
Wow. Well, there's a man here on this line that has no budget, and he is actually a multi-quadrillionaire. His name is Professor Leroy McKenzie Jr. He travels in Bora Bora. He goes to Panama. He's been to France. He's just a world traveler. He's on the red carpet of all things and VIP-ish. He can contribute and get his multi-mega friends who have multiple dollars to help you, because he is that type of person. If he would do so, he is on the line, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. You can call him.
Pastor Wright, can you, Pastor Wright,
ask him.
Pastor, what happens when the pastor lies and what happens when they go there and falsify?
No, he did not call me a liar on my own program. Dear God in heaven.
But I will say that, Pastor Wright, it has been a pleasure to hear you, and I mean that, to hear you, and to hear you talk about your platform, what you represent, and how you will represent the people of Baltimore. And I think that people need to be able to, like you said, to be able to hear what everybody who is running has to say, and not just a select few because they have the funds or however they do it, to be able to select who they be selective and who they give voice to. And I am thankful for Pastor Turner, who has this voice that he uses, this platform that he uses for his voice, and he gives people such as yourself the opportunity to be able to talk about what they will do and how they will do it, so that people can know all aspects of how we need to be represented, and just the way that you have not only represented what you would do for the city, but how you represent yourself and everything like that. It has been a pleasure to hear you just speak and to talk about the issues and not be afraid to address them. As we see that many of those that are in office here in this city, they refuse to answer questions. They refuse to answer questions. They refuse to be accountable for the issues that we know are here. Everybody knows that these issues exist, but no one seems to be willing to step up and to have solutions, viable solutions, right? That
they're scared. They're scared.
And right.
Scared.
And you seem to be someone who not only says, I care about you, but here's the things that we can do together to make the city better. So I appreciate you for coming on to this platform and talking. That's what true leadership is to me.
That's what I'm talking about. Thank you, Dr. McKenzie, Jr. Real leadership. And we ain't had it in 53 years. How can we survive? Good God Almighty. Not another moment of irresponsibility. Not another moment of nonsense. Not another moment of corrupt white envelope collecting black people who are in office. And that's what I found out racism does. They put black people in office, and they say, well, it can't be racist because he's black. No, he's really white inside. He's an Oreo cookie. he's a puppet. Yeah, he's a puppet.
Well,
and so I need to talk.
I want to thank you too, Pastor Turner. Thank you so much for even assisting me to help, hopefully, future Madam Mayor, Wright, to be listened to. So I appreciate you. Thank you.
Well, you are part of the minority, I guess. But thank you, thank God. I want to thank you all. I want to speak to my queen, who has been very solid, as y'all have diatribed on this platform. And I want to go to, this is my program, I want to go to my queen, my wife, the First Lady, the lovely Leora Turner. And is there a question you want to ask? It's a very rare opportunity to get a nominee, especially a Republican nominee, on our platform to be heard in the city. Is there anything that you want to ask her, sweetheart? Because I love you, because we just got finished our 16th wedding anniversary.
Yes, congratulations again.
And she got every gift known to mankind. A new computer, a new workstation, a new task chair, and a leopard print. She's got a little boutique over there in lady form. Got all that clothes. You got dinners. You got lunch. She's got everything. And I got new bills. That's what I got. But is what I had to do. You're gonna be joining me soon, Mackenzie. So take notes. Yes, sir. And how long have you been married to the Music Man, sweetheart?
16 years.
16 years of loveliness. 16 years of wonderfulness. Is that right?
Wonderful. Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. Checks in the mail. Yeah. Listen, is there anything you want to ask Republican candidate Pastor Shannon Wright?
No. I just want to say my cup has been filled, and I've truly been encouraged by each and every one of you. And just want to say thank you just for being a part of Elevation Radio.
One.
That's big.
Wow, thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
All right. That's incredible. So where's your church at, Pastor Wright? Thank you, sweetheart. Where's your church at, Pastor Wright?
Well, it is still in New Jersey.
Did you say Jersey?
I did. That is where I hail from.
Wait a minute now. What part of Jersey are you from?
Springfield, Union County, Central Jersey.
Well, we have more in common than you think, because most people think that I'm from Baltimore, but I was actually born in Camden, New Jersey.
I know where that is.
Oh, wow. We have an office in Camden.
That's why I'm so gangsterish.
Well.
Oh, Lord.
It is what it is.
Kiss the ground.
This has been awesome time this evening. Unfortunately, I do have to leave.
Okay, well, we'll continue. We'll continue. We have 13 more minutes, so you can go ahead. We thank you for partaking of what is Elevation Radio 1 and blessing us with your leadership and qualifications and standing up to the plate. I'm surprised we had no calls today because people were probably just listening because they couldn't believe what was being said. At 1-914-205-5353, and we'll give you a copy of this program so you can use it for your marketing purposes.
Thank you. I appreciate it greatly. You all stay blessed and safe.
God bless you. Thank you. Now.
Thank you.
All right. Now we thank you. Well, I tell you, this program has just been moving along and elevating. Let me now go to Dr. Zaluka Bazemore. Yeah, never without a guest.
Oh my goodness! You know what, Pastor? I really appreciate you giving the invitation and us being able to get on Pastor Wright because her schedule was so busy, and she said I would be more than happy. And see, this is the type of leadership that we need in Baltimore City because so many times there's people that are such visionaries and that are so talented here, but when they wanted to reach out to even this administration, you see what happened when you invited Brandon Scott. See, Brandon feels like he doesn't have to show up for a debate. I think he's going to feel a little more heat, and he'll show up before November 3rd. But I think he owes that to the people of Baltimore. I think he owes that to what makes him so different than the administration that he's been up under and a part of for almost a decade now.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you having us on, and I'm always tuning in and sharing. So we're going to share the broadcast. So once again, First Lady, congratulations on your 16th anniversary. May God bless both of you. Yeah, may God bless both of you. It was a pleasure also meeting you. And what is your first name? The junior that's on the line.
It's Leora.
No, she said the junior. There's only one junior.
It's
one
my
junior.
first name
What is their name?
My name is Leroy McKinney Jr.
Oh, okay. Professor Leroy. Leroy.
Leroy McKenzie.
Don't. When you say you, it was a pleasure meeting him. Oh my Lord.
Meaning her.
No.
Is it he? I mean, it's Leroy, right?
Leroy.
Okay,
so,
Leroy.
It's not
so
really
it was a pleasure meeting you. I enjoyed your questions too.
Okay.
I think a lot of times, even when you talk about people that are mediators, people that actually ask the questions, even when in a debate. I think I love this program because it wasn't scripted. It wasn't where like Fox 45 sending the candidates questions or letting them know what the topic is going to be. I think just the questions that you had was so on point. And we got a really good glimpse at Pastor Wright's mindset and her spirit and her love for the people.
Absolutely, and that's what we need, and unfortunately, that's not what we get when it comes to the mainstream media. When it comes to those outlets like that, they are going to try to put the best foot forward and try to make it seem as if that they are not giving questions and everything like that. But these are real issues. These are real people.
Absolutely.
The city has real issues, and I hope that you will please relay this to Pastor Wright. I hope that she will keep calling out Brandon Scott to have a debate with her, because until
we're going to make sure that we keep calling. We're going to get it. So I think a lot of the citizens are calling for it as well.
Right.
Well,
right. And
can we try it now? Can we try it now? Brandon. Brandon Scott, where are you? City Council President, trying to be mayor, don't know what you're doing, 36-year-old. Can you come to can you call this number? I know you're listening. Call in, pick up with your right hand, Brandon, and call.
I think you can believe that one of his people are listening.
Yeah,
they
I'm sure they are. I'm sure
and they follow you.
Sure
Say, listen,
right.
You coward, call in at 1-914-205-5353. Let you know that the Music Man's calling you a coward, because any leader that can't face the people is a coward and is not worthy of any office at all, is not worthy of any election. I don't know even how you won the election when Sheila Dixon won it. But no more cheating, no more cowardice. Be a man, gird up your loins like a man, like the Bible says, and face Pastor Shannon Wright. What you scared of? You're afraid you're going to wipe the floor with you?
Oh, Lord. So, look, on that note, I'm about to have to move on. I do have another Zoom meeting at 8:00, so I want to prepare for that. And I do want you to know, Pastor Turner, I did receive the email, so I'm excited about actually reading that over the weekend.
Okay.
Thank
you. I appreciate it.
All right. I will see you guys later.
We'll let you go. We have 6 more minutes.
Thank you so much.
Bless you. Love you. I don't love Kenny baseball, though.
Okay. I love y'all, too.
All right, now. Okay. I'm back. Dr. McKenzie.
Yes, sir.
I may need your help, sir. They're off the line now. I may need your help to.
No, you don't. You need to close this show down.
I will, sir, when it is over at 6 minutes and 22 seconds. What I was going to say was I may need your help as a pallbearer, because if I fight Kenny baseball, I will not live beyond that fist fight.
You keep putting stuff out there like that. I mean, there's a way to do it, but this is a great show. And people need to understand the options that they have out here.
Yes,
and the choices that they do have, because for so long this city has been run into the ground, and it's being run into the ground. And those folks that are in the position to do something have done nothing, and they continue to be put into to continue to keep the positions that they have. And we are in this 2020 epidemic, if you will, where there needs to be a shift, and where things are no longer tolerated, things are no longer acceptable, things are no longer where it should no longer be where you are not held accountable, that you can just think that you can ignore.
Arrogance. They're arrogant.
That you can ignore questions and not have to answer for them, and then still believe that you should be in the position that you're in. No, that's not what leadership is. Leadership does not shy away from questions. Leadership does not shy away from opportunities to be able to make things better.
See, real leaders, when you don't come to town halls and you don't want to show up for stuff and all that, and you thumb your nose at Fox 45 town halls and other things, real leaders look at that like, are you serious? Are you mentally deranged? Are you crazy? No, they're just arrogant, because they think they've got it down because of the political machine of O'Malley-dom and all that put people in place, and so you're going to cheat, lie, steal, and if you can do that, and we'll do it for you, and we'll put you our man, backdoor meetings in at Fells Point and other places, the restaurants, and they make the deals, and this is the person they pick because this person is going to do what they say and pull the string behind the scenes, and that's their front man. And so they'll do whatever is necessary. But this time, you're going to have a problem, because I believe, that there's never been in the history of this, I think, election, a pastor who's running, a pastor who's got the experiences, a pastor who has got connections, but a pastor who's connected with God. And God is tired of the mess. Oh, my goodness. That's why he sent COVID-19. So this is the scenario here. And it won't be business as usual, baby. Let me tell you. You're on your way out. All y'all need to be on the unemployment line who've mastered chaos in this city. No longer. Listen, you've got something coming up this weekend. You've got a lot of things going on as usual. Tell us what you got going on.
Well, I think you are a part of it too, and that's, I believe you're speaking of tomorrow. There is in conjunction. Well, for those that may not know, that tomorrow is the what is it titled? What do they call it? The National Book Lovers Day. For those that love books, that enjoy reading, you want to join, and you want to join the Christian Authors on Tour tomorrow all day. It's a marathon of authors, including the gentleman formerly known as Pastor Steve Music Man Turner.
Oh, he got jokes today. Okay. Oh, he's get me. Okay. Formerly known. Okay. I hear you.
Like Prince,
Mr.
right?
Mr. Big Shot, I got you. You on this? What is your time frame?
I will be on between 2 and 2:30 tomorrow. But what is your time? Because I know you will be on there as well tomorrow afternoon.
My time frame, as usual, I'm behind you for some reason, is 5:30 to 6. So if you've never seen the Music Man, you'll get a chance to see him tomorrow on
Absolutely.
Zoom. And if you've never seen Dr. McKenzie Jr., you will get a chance to see him. But ladies, he's taken.
You see why you got me going there. That ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about. Ain't got nothing to do with what we're talking about.
Make sure everything is right like it's supposed to be, because I don't want her calling me, jump into my kitchen.
She ain't gonna call you. But
and
tomorrow.
I'll tell you now, ladies, the Music Man is one handsome some young fella. Now it's felt, but I am taken, I tell you, by the lovely Lady Leora Turner, who will tell you he taken.
But the Book Lovers Day starts at 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. The marathon starts tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. and it goes all the way through 8:30 p.m. tomorrow. That's all day, so you can pop in. Yep, you can pop in, catch some of your known authors, and some that you may know, some that you might not know, but you want to go onto the Zoom, and you can go onto the Christian Authors on Tour Facebook page to get all of the other information. Okay, and if you need a musician, thank God for that. If you need a musician for your services, call 1-410-302-2737. That's 1-410-302-2737. The on-call organist since 1994. If you'd like to look at our website, go to www.ultimatepraise.us, ultimatepraise.us, or www.aworldofpraises.com, aworldofpraises.com, or www.theoncallorganist.org. And at this time, I'm going to get my wife. She's still on the line.
Yep.
Lady Leora, I love you. Talk to my Latino brothers.
I love you out there in the radio land.
No, Spanish.
Oh.
Dear God.
Okay. Jesus te llama. Jesus loves you. And por favor, mantente segura and stay safe.
Oh, that sounds nice. I like that. Let me ask you a question. Can you talk Spanish to me when we get off here?
Say it again?
Can you talk Spanish to me when we get off here?
I sure can.
Hey, thank you. See. And it has been another Elevation Radio moment. God bless you. Behave yourself.